Hi, my name is Bob German, and I'm SharePoint Practice Director for Blue Metal Architects. And today's tip is about geo-hosting SharePoint, by which I mean allowing SharePoint to be creating a SharePoint environment or infrastructure that's available to a worldwide audience. A lot of times I've had customers ask about this. They'll say, we have a group in Europe, a group in Asia, a group in North America. They all want to collaborate using SharePoint. The problem is that SharePoint doesn't really have a lot of features in it to help you do that. It's essentially a centrally hosted environment. There is something called content deployment that's built into SharePoint, but content deployment is really only one-way replication. It's really intended for web publishing scenarios where you might want to author the content inside of your firewall and then push it out to your DMZ or into a hosting environment. It works well for that, but if you had people collaborating, it wouldn't really help because the changes from it's a one-way replication, so there's no way for the changes to get back into the main content area. So in practice, the way that you do it is everybody hits the same SharePoint server, or you could put SharePoint servers near different communities of users, but a given piece of SharePoint content is going to be only in one location. For example, if you had a group in Germany collaborating with a group in Boston, you could have a SharePoint farm in Germany and another one in Boston, and that would work fine, but you're going to have to choose for each project or for each collaboration site to put that either in Boston or in Europe, and somebody's going to have a slower experience of going over the Atlantic Ocean to access the content. Also, there are some little twists to it which have to do with the shared services that span all of a SharePoint installation. Things like search, user profiles in the social networking, managed metadata services. These things, actually, it's kind of a case-by-case basis how they work. So the managed metadata service, for example, that just works over a wide area network. It works between farms. So there would be no problem, say, in taking your North America SharePoint farm, pointing it to some metadata that's hosted in Europe, and it'll just work. Search, however, you can't do that. Search, you could crawl over the net, or you could federate the results over the net, right? So if you're crawling, now you've got to actually pull all that content over the network in order to index it. If you're federating, you're going to have side-by-side results. So basically you're issuing two searches every time the user issues one, and there's no good way to interleave them so that you get side-by-side results. So though, user profiles is another example. In that case, again, you have to set up federation. You can give people affinity to their My Site. So for instance, my site might be here in Boston. If I were to travel to Europe and use the SharePoint site there, I click on My Site, it's going to have to bring me back to Boston. So you can set all that stuff up, and it works, but it's a fairly complex setup. So what I usually advise customers is to try to make a central installation work if it's possible. So that might mean some testing to figure out what the actual user experience is going to be like. And it might mean the use of some WAN accelerators. Certeon builds a line of WAN acceleration products that are tuned for SharePoint, and I've had good success with those in the past. And it can reduce not only the amount of wait time for users, but it also simplifies the administration because you only have one infrastructure to worry about. Now, if that won't work for you, there are some replication products out there on the market from third parties. The thing to remember is that replication means sometimes having to say you're sorry. For example, if the network is down and I edit a document and somebody in Europe edits the same document at the same time, when the network comes back, you're going to have a merge conflict, and people are going to get notified that they have to manually figure out what to do about that document because there's no automated merge. So those are some thoughts and tips on how to deal with a geo-hosted SharePoint environment. I hope it was helpful, and thanks for your time.